Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Midland stage, Gayla Smith.
Hello from the Midland Theatre in downtown Newark, Ohio. Thank you so much for being with us at the end of your Sunday Fun Day. I hope it was great and you live on the glow all week. As I had stated on Facebook, it's hard to imagine that because I've been at this for a long time, but this is my first ever all original music show. Tonight, I'm going to be doing it in a storyteller format. The songs I've written range from 1990 to 2020, and we'll be time traveling back and forth. And before each song, I'll tell you a little bit about what was going on in my life, maybe what I was listening to, and what actually inspired me to write the song. Before I go one step further, I want to introduce Mike Nelson. He's going to help me keep the beat going on tonight. And the first song we're going to do was written between 1990 and 92. I had been flown up to Hal Leonard Corporation in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to interview for a job as an editor. They hired me on the spot, and a month later, I found myself living there. So when I first went up to find an apartment so that I could commence working at Hal Leonard, I was extremely overwhelmed because I didn't know anything at all about the city. I'm a very, very small town girl, and I began to wonder if I didn't make a mistake. So because I couldn't come to any conclusions as to where to live, I decided to live in the Plaza Hotel, downtown Milwaukee on Cass Street. I'd have to say that it was probably one of the more Hemingway-type experiences I've ever had. People came there to be trained corporately from their companies, and they'd stay a week or two. Warner Brothers had a junior rock and roll label, and they had up-and-coming rock bands that came into town, and they'd put them up in a suite there. And it wasn't unusual to see Jerry Harrison in the lobby picking them up to take them to record for the day. The other type of person that lived there was a person that lived there for life, a lifer in a hotel. And I really was enamored by this lifestyle. We used to gather in the lobby every night and have philosophical conversations, and they always had the 411 on everything. And they were also very sweet and protective because they knew I was as green as grass. My apartment in this hotel was so small, and I slept on a pull-out couch for 8 months. I could sit on the couch, stick out my foot, and touch the kitchen, and I'm 5'1", so that might tell you how small it really was. There was a very salty lady that ran the reception desk, and our only way to call in and out was a switchboard because we didn't have cell phones then or Facebook. So sometimes I would get homesick and call my mom or somebody from home, and if that switchboard lady decided that she needed another line and you had been on the phone long enough, she would just pull the plug. Another thing about the city that was new for me, there were some darker sides. Milwaukee's a very cold place, very warm-hearted people, but frigid temperatures and homelessness and some of the loneliness of being in the city without knowing anybody. I was listening to probably a lot of jazz back then, and I would get up at 5:30 every morning and write music before I went to work. So all of that inspired me to write this first song called My World. It's very, very laid back, a little bit Norah Jones-ish, so we're going to ease into this. Walking down the city streets at night, colder winds and darks, and then the sight. I know you couldn't work it out before, but there's a place, love's an open door. Take away the laughter and what's there? Too much room, another empty chair. How could you begin to live like this with no one's hand to hold or face to kiss? Come into my world, my world. It's such a sweet word. Come into my world. This world is such a nice world. Let me take your heart and place it safely by my own. Come into my world. My world, don't be alone. Once again the cold becomes severe. It's not very easy being here. All the nights begin to look the same. And when it's all too much, you just take the blame. One more lonely day is like the rest. Not much new and no one will forget. I wonder what you plan to do today. You could make some calls. There's not much to say. Come into my world, my world, such a sweet world. Come into my world. This world is such a nice world. Let me take your heart and place it safely by my own. Come into my world. My world, don't be alone. My home, come into my world. My world, don't be alone. Oh, 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 come into my world. My world, don't be alone. Oh, 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 come into my world. My world, don't be alone. Oh, This time period in 1990 and 92. Hal Leonard Corporation is the world's biggest music publishing company, print music publishing company. If you have ever held a piano book or a guitar tab book or choir music or band music in your hand, it is very likely that their logo is at the bottom of it. I was hired to be an editor for them in the educational department. We had staff writers from all over the country, in Los Angeles, Nashville, Washington, D.C., everywhere. And they were contracted to write music for schools. One of their jobs was to write school musicals, and so they would write musicals for little kids and junior high and high school kids and college. And the musicals were so nice. They had costuming and dialogue and dance numbers and staging. And almost always they had openers and closers and jazz numbers and pop and rock and reggae, etc. They tried to cover all of the genres. And almost always in these musicals, there would be a guys group and a girls group. And I'm thinking that this kind of rubbed off on me quite a bit when I was doing editing. And when we rehearsed this song, Mike said it reminded him of the song Mr. Postman by the Marvelettes, which makes total sense because also I grew up listening to girls groups, Marvelettes, Supremes, Ronettes, etc. This song is called If He Could Only Hear the Beat of My Heart. It's a song about a girl who's madly in love with her best friend and trying to find a way to tell him without losing him. Come a little closer, I got a secret. I don't wanna hear about this. I got it bad for him and he doesn't know. He doesn't know I would kill for a kiss. I got it bad, baby. It hurts bad, baby. Don't you tell him about this. First time I saw him, I never forget. He didn't notice the look in my eyes. He didn't know I was standing there yet. I got it bad, baby. It hurts bad, baby. Don't you tell him about this. If he could only hear the beat of my heart, he'd know that my head. If he could only hear the beat of my heart, he'd know that I love him. Oh, 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 my love's appealing. Do you think he'll ever know what I don't dare ever show? Will I keep it all locked up inside forever? Hope I can count on keeping my secret. There's just one more thing I'm telling you too. This boy I fell for, one in my daydreams. Funny thing, he looks a whole lot like you. I got it bad, baby. I got it bad, baby. Don't you tell him about this. If he could only hear the beat of my heart, he'd know that I love him. If he could only hear the beat of my heart, he'd know I was there. Some things are best left unsaid, so I just turned my head. If he could only hear the beat of my heart, he'd know that I love him. Know that I love him. He would know that I love him. Know that I love him. So we're going to time travel up to the period of time somewhere around 2012 to 2014. For 6 years of my life, I worked as a musician on cruise ships. I did piano bars, crazy piano bars, and floating soloists in casinos, and played bass for a rock band, and 4 years of it was with Carnival Cruise Lines, and 2 was with Disney Cruise Lines. And at this particular time, I was in the employ of Disney still. I was home on vacation, and people always say, how could you go on vacation when you work on a cruise ship? But believe me, you do, and you're happy to do it. I was standing out in front of my house watching the water and thinking about things, and went back on Disney Fantasy after I had a rest, and I was playing in the piano bar on the Fantasy, and a family came in, multi-generations, and usually people did 7-day cruises. And a family from Canada came in, and one of the uncles walked over to me and asked for Bonnie Raitt, and I played it for him, and we had a nice talk. Apparently he was a weekend warrior bass player back home and a carpenter during the week. So he went about his business, and a couple of days later, I saw him in the atrium. And I was playing in this atrium. It was about 15 decks high, a very intimidating space, and one of the best people-watching spots I've ever seen in my life. And I got to watch the kids interact with princesses, and the characters came out, and they really are magical, and they really do have pixie dust. And my mind was wandering, and I was playing, and all of a sudden I looked up, and I'll call him Uncle Canada from the Canadian family, was standing about 5 decks up. And I don't know why sometimes in our lives things stick in our mind and forever, I have no idea. But I think it was the expression on his face. He was looking down at me, and he almost looked like he had a halo. He looked quite cherubic, and it inspired this song. I've often heard people talk about when they meet their life partner or their soulmate, that they knew very quickly that they were the one. And so that's what this song is about. It's called Something. By the way, Mr. Canada, Uncle Canada wasn't the one, but he inspired this song. Something in the way you look at me says you might be a fallen angel. Something in the way you look at me says you might save me from myself. Looking on from where I stand strikes a chord of mystery. And there's just something about the way you look at me. Something in the way you talk to me is like cool water to the faint. Something in the way you speak like that when I know that you're no saint. Your words fall on my ears at night, and I drift off peacefully. There's just something about the way you talk to me. Pour over me, sweet stranger, I still have far to go. Lift me like I'm weightless, carry me real slow. I have no dark intention, and you know you've been around. You can be my hero, but don't let me touch the ground. Something in the way you touch me says I might be home at last. Something in the way your body moves sends me falling fast. I'm landing on a cloud at night, and it's as big as a rolling sea. And there's just something about the way you touch me. Pour over me, sweet stranger, I still have far to go. Lift me like I'm weightless, carry me real slow. I have no dark intentions, and I know you've been around. You can be my hero, but don't let me touch the ground. Something in the way you are to me, it's like I knew you from day one. Someone on my broken road, shining on me like the sun. And by surprise, I close my eyes and I float off happily. And there's just something about the way you are to me. Yeah, there's just something about the way you look at me. Also written in that pocket of time between 2012 and 14, this next song. By the way, I am both a musician and an artist. I operate my music information and gig listings. If you want to see where Mike and I are playing, go to gaylasmith.com. You can also go there and download that last song I did, Something, and the next song I'm going to do, Deeper Than a Wishing Well. My other site is smithgirlarts.com, and that's where you will find my artwork. So this next song, one time I heard Sir Paul McCartney talking about how artists and musicians and creators get their ideas. And he said it's kind of like you get signals from the universe somewhere and become obsessed with them. And I'm sure you've heard the story about how he wrote Yesterday. It came to him in a dream. I believe the Midland posted it, actually, in the past week or two. And when it first came to him, I think he was calling it Scrambled Eggs because it was his working title, and that it grew into be one of the most beautiful songs ever written. But I agree with Sir Paul. Ideas come to you, I feel like they're little seedlings that fall from the sky, and you reach out, catch them in the palm of your hand, and become obsessed with turning them into a piece of art. So this next song came to me once again when I was back home on vacation from cruise ships, and I was just staring out at the water. It was late afternoon, hot sun, and these words and music came to me, and it's called Deeper Than a Wishing Well. So carefree, I knew you when it was a little bit easier to be with me, and I knew you when the sun was shining bright. Now it feels so lonesome, it's a golden lonely night, and I stand out by the water, wondering how it all went to hell. Think about you every day, and my thoughts run deeper than a wishing well. Wishing well. I knew you when you were so young and shy, trying to please me. I watched you try and try, but nothing that you did looked to you to be good enough. I must have been hung up in some pretty trivial stuff, and I stand out by the water, wondering how it all went to hell. Think about you every day, and my thoughts run deeper than a wishing well. wishing well. I'm so sorry, it hurts so bad. I watched the way I did, why is love so sad? Just turn around now and walk it on back to me. Can you just forgive me for the girl I used to be? Yeah. I knew you when things were so carefree. I knew you when it was a little bit easier to be with me, but now you're gone and things don't look so bright. I feel so lonesome, it's a cold and lonely night, and I stand out by the water wondering how it all went to hell. I think about you every day and my thoughts run deeper than a wishing well. A wishing well. A wishing well. A wishing well. So we're time traveling again to the year 2000. I was home for a while, and I've always loved Latin music. I love Latin feel, Carlos Santana and some of the other Latin artists I grew up listening to. And this next song, I don't know, I was feeling Latin, I guess, when I wrote it, a Latin feel. This song is about a girl who has tried to break up with her boyfriend 17 times in a row and just can't get the job done, because every time she thinks she's almost there, he shows up on the door and knocks her off her game again. It's called There Goes the Sun. I was so much closer to the borderline, almost there, almost fine. Then you play with me, you blow my mind like it's artillery, and you keep me on that string. Oh no, there's that thing again. There goes the sun, falling down like a big red ball, and there goes the sun. Day and night the rain is gonna fall, and there goes the sun. You will be back, that's what you said. There goes the sun. It melts like lava from my heart and on my head. Backslide sister said she was all set, and then you go dropping in. You're not my next of kin. I was over this. No big shot dreams and no traitor's kiss. You are yesterday. You stand there like you're mine today. There goes the sun, falling down like a big red ball, and there goes the sun. Day and night the rain is gonna fall, and there goes the sun. You will be back, that's what you said. There goes the sun. It melts like lava from my heart and on my head. there goes the sun, falling down like a big red ball, and there goes the sun. Day and night the rain is gonna fall, and there goes the sun. You will be back, that's what you said. There goes the sun. It melts like lava from my heart and on my head. This very next song brings me to how music started for me. People ask me all the time how I got started, and I was 4 years old. It was my first memory of playing any instrument at all. My mom and dad were in the Army, soldiers in the Army in World War II. They did not know each other then, but they met later on and married and had my brother and I. We were living in a ranch home in Hebron, Ohio. We're really small town people. We just like small towns. And my mom listened to pop radio all day. She was always listening to Doris Day, Dean Martin, Andy Williams, Pat Boone, eventually Petula Clark, whom I loved. And so I would hear that all the time. And my mom had bought a Wurlitzer piano. When she got out of the Army, she promised herself if she survived the whole thing, she was going to treat herself and buy a piano. And she did buy the ugliest piano that has ever been made, ever seen. It was a Wurlitzer, which I love. They're very dear to my heart. I have a Wurlitzer piano from Columbus Public Schools, and it even has a pencil sharpener on the side of it, and I love that thing. They play like a champ. But my mom had that piano in the living room. My dad was more of an FM guy, and he loved instrumental music and played a lot of Floyd Kramer. He loved Floyd Kramer, and he bought me all of the Floyd Kramer albums, and you'll hear that in my playing. That kind of thing is the Floydisms, I call them. And these two things were going on in my head all the time, these two kinds of music, my dad's taste and my mom's taste. And so I remember being in the kitchen listening to some of this and running to the Wurlitzer, the ugly Wurlitzer piano with vinyl on it, and reaching up and could barely reach the keys, and those were the first melodies I picked out. So my parents were wonderful people, Gayla and Virginia Smith. They were wonderful people, and they were very generous about making sure that my brother and I had music lessons as we were growing up. My brother is a drummer, Brad. He's a drummer at the Vineyard Church. And I went on to take several instruments and eventually to college and got a music degree. And when I was home, my freshman year of college, Carole King had released the Tapestry album, which changed my world completely. When I went to college, I was told that I was going to be studying 4 years of opera and 4 years of classical piano, which I did. But I wanted to be Carole King. So I secretly would come home on break, where my professors wouldn't know any better, go in my room, and we had moved to Millersport by then, and that ugly piano went with us, and they shoved it in my bedroom. And I had the Tapestry album going, and I was trying to learn how to play and sing at the same time, because up until then, I never did. I only played piano. I did not sing. So it's much easier than it looks. So I'd work at it, and my mom would open the door and say, "You're going to get it. You're going to get it. Just keep at it," and close the door. And I'm thinking she probably needed to go get a stiff drink because it was just god-awful in the beginning. But I was obsessed with it, and I really wanted to do it. So also on that album, and we were brought up in the church. We were brought up in the First Community Church, and there was a lady there named Alma Meacham that played beautiful, beautiful stride piano. And she conducted the children's choir, and there was a mirror on the piano, and she could see us while she was playing. And after a few years of lessons, she trusted me to accompany the kids' choir. And I'm pretty sure those were my first public performances, playing for the kids' choir in church. On back to the Carole King album, there were so many iconic songs on that album, and one of the other ones that I was crazy about was Natural Woman. So many artists went on to record that song, but one of my favorite versions was Aretha Franklin. I think she did it well, I'd never say better than Carol, but at least on par. So all of that inspired me to write a song. We're back to 1992, called You Need a Woman. You can run with the little girls, but I think you need a woman, young and sweet with her pretty curls, but I think you need a woman. So you wrote, baby, why you can't look me up, and you can prove you're a man, and you think you need a woman, and you think you need a woman, and you think you need a woman. Come to me, baby. Come to me, baby. Come to me, baby. When you need a woman. Stormy fights and those run-around nights, that's not what true love's all about, baby. Anyone can run from one door after the other. Takes a real man, a big man, stay and work it out. You can run with a little girl, but I think you need a woman, young and sweet with her pretty curls, but I think you need a woman. So you're out, baby, while you can. Lock me up, and you can prove you're a man, and you think you need a woman, and you think you need a woman, and you need a woman. Come to me, baby. Come to me, baby. Come to me, baby. When you need a, come to me, baby. Come to me, baby. Come to me, baby. You need a, come to me, baby. Come to me, baby. Come to me, baby. When you need a woman. We have come to the very last song in this show. Before I proceed, I have thanks to give to my dear friends at Explore Licking County for referring us to do this, to Nancy Anderson, who invited us to do this, to Devin and Robin, doing text, sound, camera, and you name it tonight. They're incredible. Thank you for being so good to us. To Mike Nelson, of course, for who has been my musical partner in crime for going on 7 years now, all kinds of adventures, and I really appreciate him being with me for this experience. The last tune that we are going to do was kind of inspired by about this time of year, the Buckeye Lake Chamber of Commerce hosts a Winterfest. And all of the clubs and the restaurants and everybody is very festive. They do it in January. And it's just a great way to bust the winter blues around Buckeye Lake. And we usually participate musically, and also I do an art show there. But unfortunately this year, due to the pandemic, we will not be doing that. So I wrote a song that was just kind of about escape, which everybody probably felt the need to do this year, which will be the last song we do. I do have a virtual art show going on right now in honor of Winterfest, and I hope that you will check it out. This last song is called Sail Away With Me. And thank you so very much for being with us tonight. We appreciate it beyond all imagination. And please stay strong, keep the faith. We'll get to the other side. It's just going to take a little while. But we care for you, we pray for you, and God bless. This is called Sail Away With Me. Come meet me down by the water. I'll see you out on the dock. I'll bring a cooler full of what you like. Well, cast off at 6 o'clock. Baby, leave your heartaches in the harbor. Sink your sorry troubles in the bay. There's no crying zone where we're going tonight, or what I say. Come on and sail, sail, sail away with me. Everybody sail, sail, sail away with me. I've never heard of a problem that did not dissolve away. I know your heart's been heavy forever, but be brave. Everybody sail, sail, sail away with me. Come on aboard and sail, sail, come sail away with me. Come to my port in the storm tonight. Free fall through the stars and the moon and the light. Nightfall comes and the fireflies go. Doesn't get better now, don't you know? I know it seems like things won't get better, and all you want to do is see the light. There's a icy solution, and we're riding that tide out tonight. Everybody sail, sail, I sail away with me. Yeah, get on board, sail, I sail away with me. Everybody now sail, 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 and sail away with me. Good night, everybody. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks for being so cool. How long was that? How long did that last? How long did it last? Does anybody know? Does anybody know how long that lasted? 45? Good.